And the big news breaking now is that the Indian envoy to Qatar has met with Taliban leaders. Vishnu, what are the details?
Well, Sonia, a couple of months back, there was news that at a high level, India had reached out to the Taliban, but this was never confirmed. But what is now taking place is an official confirmation from the External Affairs Ministry of a meeting having taken place between our ambassador in Qatar and Stanikzai, the Taliban leader, Sher Mohammad Abbas Stanikzai, the head of the Taliban's political office. This took place in Doha. Now, what was discussed was important. Discussions on the safety, security and early return of Indians was something that was looked at very, very carefully. India has also raised the entire issue of Afghan soil not being allowed to perpetrate acts of terror or be used in any way against the interests of any other country. And India believes that these discussions did take place from a positive standpoint.
Right. So also what's important, Vishnu, is the fact that the Prime Minister has constituted a high-level group to look at Afghanistan with both the NSA and the Foreign Minister. What details do you have on that?
Well, that is a very important development which is taking place. It goes to show that India is looking very closely at the Afghan situation. It's going to be a constant focus, is what we have been told. The group has been meeting regularly over the last couple of days, and we are told that they will continue to meet very regularly over the last few days to monitor that situation on the ground. India, of course, obviously now reaching out to the Taliban. The big question is, in a finite period of time, will there be a resumption of the Indian embassy in Kabul? That is unclear at this stage. Perhaps given the law and order situation on the ground, that may take some more time. But this is the group that's actually going to decide on how India engages Afghanistan from here onwards.
Right, Vishnu, thanks so much for that update. We'll move into the other big headline. The latest economy figures, the GDP figures are out for the first quarter of the current financial year, and it's a growth rate of a record 20.1%. Now, of course, that is the low base effect, because remember, last year this time was the lockdown quarter, and then for the first time another record of negative growth rate of minus 24.4%. So the GDP on that low base effect, a growth rate of 20.1%. But the chief economic advisor has said this is a sign that India's economy is growing on the right track, and we should be back, he said, to a pre-COVID situation by next year.
So as seen in the GDP numbers and in several of the high frequency indicators that I've covered, the economic recovery is gathering momentum. The macroeconomic fundamentals being much stronger as a result of the measures that have been taken over the last year and a half. The GDP data for the first quarter reaffirms the government's prediction of the imminent V-shaped recovery that we had made last year at this time. This prediction was based on the fundamentals of the economy being strong.
Right, so that was the chief economic advisor there. But meanwhile, one index which is just going up and up are the markets. So let's just look at that huge surge. Well, the Sensex crossing 57,500, the Nifty 50 index up by 1,000 points in a mere 19 trading sessions to surpass the 17,000 mark. It's the quickest 1,000 point jump ever. The BSE benchmark 30 share index Sensex also entered uncharted territory, achieving an all-time high of 57,625. So good GDP numbers and also great numbers on the stock exchanges, buoyed by the US Fed Reserve Chairman's statements as well on bond buying. Well, history made today also as 9 new Supreme Court judges were sworn in on one day for the first time. This included 3 women Supreme Court judges sworn in today.
I, Abhay Srinivas Vikram Nath,
having been appointed
a judge of the Supreme Court of India, do swear in the name of God
that I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India.
The first time in the history of the top court that 9 judges took oath of office at one go to clear a massive, almost 2-year backlog in which no appointments were made. The ceremony, which is traditionally held in the Chief Justice of India's courtroom, was held today in the auditorium of the Supreme Court due to COVID protocols. 3 out of these 9 new judges are in line to become Chief Justice of India: Justice Vikram Nath, Justice P.S. Narasimha and Justice B.V. Nagaratna. Justice B.V. Nagaratna will become the first woman Chief Justice of India in 2027. This is also the first time that 3 women judges took oath of office in one go: Justices Hima Kohli, Bela Trivedi and B.V. Nagaratna. The 9 newly appointed judges are Justice Abhay Oka,
appointed a judge of the Supreme Court of India, Having been appointed a judge of the Supreme Court of India,
Justice Vikram
Having
Nath.
been appointed a judge of the Supreme Court of India,
having been appointed a judge of the Supreme Court of India,
do swear in the name of God,
Justice J.K.
do
Maheshwari.
swear in the name of God,
Do swear in the name of God
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India as by law established,
I will uphold
Justice
the
Hema Kohli.
sovereignty and integrity of India.
that I will duly and faithfully, to the best of my ability, knowledge and judgment, I,
Justice B.V. Nagaratna.
Venkatramaya Nagaratna,
having been appointed a judge of the Supreme Court of India,
having been appointed a judge of the Supreme Court of India,
do swear in the name of God,
Justice C.T. Ravi Kumar.
having been appointed a judge of the Supreme Court of India,
having been appointed a judge of the Supreme Court of India,
do swear in the name of God, I,
Justice M.M. Sundaresh.
Sundaresh,
having been appointed a judge of the Supreme Court of India,
having been appointed as judge of the Supreme Court of India,
do swear in the name of God,
Justice Bela Trivedi.
Trivedi,
having been appointed a judge of the Supreme Court of India,
having been appointed a judge of Supreme Court of India,
Justice P.S. Narasimha.
having been appointed a judge of the Supreme Court of India,
having been appointed a judge of the Supreme Court of India, that I will duly and faithfully.
With these new appointments, the strength of judges in the Supreme Court will increase from 24 to 33 with just one vacancy pending. In New Delhi, this is Sukirti Dwivedi for NDTV.
Well, moving towards another huge vaccination milestone. Our vaccinations have crossed 1 crore today, just within 5 days. And in fact, they're set to beat Friday's record. We're likely to be much higher, but we already crossed over 1 crore, and this is likely to go much higher as we speak and by the end of day today. So that really is a big achievement. Also, dose 1 has now been given to over 50 crore people and dose 2 to over 14 crore people. So as we're reporting, this is a vaccination success story coming in from across the country. So let's just look at Tamil Nadu, where the main focus really is on pushing now vaccines in rural areas, especially to those working on Manrega projects.
A special vaccination camp at Sembakam for Manrega workers. After much hesitancy and delay, Sarada has taken her first dose.
எங்கள் வீட்டில் கல்யாணம் இருந்து பாப்பாக்கு அதனால் நான் ஊசி போடல இப்போ இந்த தூய்மையாளர் வேலை செய்யறதுனால ஊசி போடாதான் இந்த வேலைன்னு சொன்னாங்க அதனால் போடுவாங்க சார்.
The government has now said it's mandatory for people at rural employment guarantee work sites like this one in Tamil Nadu's Chengalpattu district to be vaccinated before they can be given work.
வேலைக்கு 100 நாள் வேலைக்கு வரணும், நிறைய கும்பல் இருந்தால் வேலை வந்து ஒவ்வொருக்கும் நோய் தொற்று பரவும், ஒருத்தவங்களுக்கு இருந்தாலும் அது எல்லாருக்கும் பரவும்னு சொல்லிட்டு கம்பல்சரி கோவிட் ஊசி போட்ட பிறகு வேலை உங்களுக்கு 100 நாள் வேலைன்னு சொல்லி.
Sheila is a COVID survivor who lost her job at a company nearly 5 months ago. The mother of 2 has taken her first dose as she's hoping to earn her income through Manrega scheme.
இப்போ அது மாதிரி அறிவிச்சிருக்காங்க சார், இன்ஜெக்ஷன் போடாதான் வேலைக்கு வரணும், அதனால எல்லாருக்கும் பாதிக்குது அப்படின்னு இருக்காங்க, அதனால இப்போ நிறைய பேர் போடுறாங்க.
With Tamil Nadu's daily COVID tally dipping after the second wave, the state is witnessing vaccine apathy. Only 10.6% fully vaccinated and 42.8% have taken one dose. A clear rural push in Tamil Nadu inoculating Manrega communities like this as the state prepares to reopen schools and colleges, hoping that this drive would inoculate a larger population. At Sembakam and Chengalpattu district, with Suresh, Sam Daniel, Find TV.
So those are the stories that are adding up to those numbers of 1 crore doses. Well, amongst the states leading that include Bihar, Andhra Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh leading in vaccination doses today. And also this record number is good news for schools. Delhi all set to reopen tomorrow. However, Delhi colleges still haven't got official clearance from the University Grants Commission to open tomorrow.
After nearly 17 months, schools in the national capital prepare to reopen, but with strict COVID protocols in place.
Students and parents both are very happy. Proper social distancing will be maintained at the gate itself, besides the welcoming them. No exchange of notebooks and lunch and all those items will be permitted in the class.
So what will be the new normal for schools and colleges once they reopen? The guidelines for Delhi schools and colleges are mandatory thermal screening, staggered lunch breaks, alternate seating arrangement, 50% seating per classroom, mandatory isolation room in school premises. Those living in containment zones will not be allowed to go to schools and colleges. The new norms include an isolation room for students. This Delhi government school, for example, has approximately 2,800 students. Those returning to school tomorrow will have to bring along the consent form.
Any increase in the temperature, the student will be taken to the isolation room.
Most of the students here are from underprivileged backgrounds living in slum areas.
अब वो हमारी भी इच्छा हो रही है, बच्चों की भी इच्छा है कि हम वो वापस उस पेंसिल को पकड़ें, बच्चों को ड्रॉ करवाएं. बच्चों से कनेक्ट नहीं कर पा रहे थे. कई बार होता है कि जो बच्चों के माइंड में आता है वो सोशल मीडिया पे वो इतना एक्टिव नहीं है, उनके पास गैजेट्स नहीं है.
Though the Delhi government has said colleges can also open, several principals we spoke to said they did not have a formal communication yet on reopening tomorrow.
So we are waiting for some instructions from the university to come, and then only we'll decide upon it. Cheerful environment, that lively environment, that life in the college we are missing.
After nearly 17 months, students will be entering into a classroom tomorrow in schools and colleges, adhering to strict COVID-appropriate behavior. But the question is, how strictly will these protocols be implemented and, most importantly, be followed? With camera person Sushil Rathi in Delhi, Shanakshi Chakravarti for NDTV.
Tomorrow, all schools, colleges, Anganwadi setups are also meant to open in Telangana, but the High Court today has imposed very strict conditions for the reopening and has stayed the government order that said residential schools and hostels can open, saying that they can't be forced, parents can't be forced to send students to school for physical classes, and schools also can't be forced to conduct physical classes, saying no penal action can be taken against parents or schools for not attending offline classes. So it remains to be seen how many schools will actually open tomorrow. Also in Maharashtra, the big focus now is on opening temples. Today, the Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray said that he's not anti-Hindu but anti-Corona, and that's why he didn't allow the Dahi Handi festivities today on the day after Janmashtami. Meanwhile, activist Anna Hazare has said that he will go on a fast if the temples are not open in Maharashtra.
म्हणजे आज जे आपल्याला म्हणतात ना की हिंदू विरोधी सरकार आहे, हिंदुत्व विरोधी सरकार आहे, यांच्या सरकारला हे सण चालतात आणि ते चालत नाहीत. त्यांना मला ते केंद्राचं पत्र दाखवायचं आहे की त्याच्यात त्यांनी स्पेसिफिक म्हटलेलं आहे की दहीहंडी आणि गणेशोत्सव या काळामध्ये दक्षता पाळा. मग आता हे कोणतं सरकार कोणत्या सणाविरुद्ध, कोणत्याही सणाविरुद्ध, कोणत्याही धर्माविरुद्ध हे सरकार नाही, आपण कोरोना विरुद्ध आहोत.
So Anna Hazare, as we said, raising those questions over the Maharashtra government, asking why are you keeping bars open, why shut temples? Meanwhile, moving to a tragic story coming in from Bengaluru, where 7 people, including the son of an MLA, were killed in a car accident in Koramangala in the early hours of Tuesday morning. All the young people in their 20s were packed into one Audi car, which apparently banged into an electric pole. The police say none of the people in the car were wearing seatbelts.
It was all over in seconds for the occupants of this car. A CCTV clip from Koramangala shows the moment the car crashed. A wheel flying off after hitting a pole at a great speed. The Audi Q3 with a VIP number went over a footpath and smashed into a building. The state of the vehicle, an indication of the speed at which they were hurtling through the Bengaluru streets at 2:30 a.m.
You won't find one single airbag inside. Why did it not get inflated? It is also under investigation. But one seat belt here is intact. As you can see, it shows that at least the occupant who were next to the driver was not wearing the seat belt. The steering is here, and see the condition of the car, how badly it is damaged. It claimed 7 lives.
6 of the 7, all in their 20s and including an MLA's son, died on the spot. The 7th died on the way to the hospital.
It seems the preliminary investigation shows he lost the control and dashed against the footpath, went on to the footpath, then he dashed against the wall. The car was crushed. They were not wearing seat belt. No air balloon was opened.
Karun Sagar, son of Hosur MLA Prakash, was among those who died on the spot. All of them were returning to Hosur after participating in a family function in Bengaluru. Police are now investigating if the driver was drunk.
Very unfortunate incident. The main reason seems to be the rash, negligent and speeding of the vehicle. As I already told you, 7 people, 4 men and 3 women are killed. Case is registered. We are investigating it.
Adigudi Traffic Police have registered a case of rash and negligent driving, and it is also being investigated whether those who were occupants of the car under the influence of liquor or not. With camera person Kumar, Nihal Kidwai for NDTV.
Moving now to our special report. This is about a 200 crore scam where apparently high-profile businessmen, their families and even actors were being targeted. All this being masterminded from inside Tihar jail by one man and his accomplice outside.
He ran an extortion empire on a mobile phone from Tihar jail. She collected the money outside through Hawala channels. That's the story of Sukesh Chandrasekhar and his partner in crime, Leena Maria Paul. Both now in the custody of the Delhi Police and Enforcement Directorate for allegedly swindling over 200 crores from Delhi-based businessmen. The latest victims of the con couple are family members of beleaguered businessmen, former promoters of Fortis Healthcare, the Singh brothers. Malvinder Singh and Shivinder Singh, themselves in jail in an allegedly money laundering case. The wives of the Singh brothers have been duped of over 200 crore rupees by Sukesh and Leena Paul, who pretended to be close to the Home Minister and promised to help their husbands get bail. Despite requests, NDTV got no response from Malvinder Singh or Shivinder Singh's families on this payment of 200 crore rupees, though NDTV did access this FIR copy that was filed by the wives after being duped. During investigation, investigators found that the con couple had bought a lavish sea-facing bungalow on the outskirts of Chennai with the money they took from the Singh brothers' wives. The house has a home theatre, expensive floors, furniture and rugs. 16 luxury cars including a Rolls-Royce Ghost, a Bentley Bentayga, a Ferrari 458 Italia, a Lamborghini Uru, an Escalade and a Mercedes AMG 63, all were confiscated. However, the highlight of the seizure, parked in the center of the living room, was a race car, which represents an iconic moment in racing history. The Mercedes-Benz 300 SLR with 722 emblazoned on it was raced during the famous Mille Miglia race of 1955. The irony of it all, an art piece. Gold-plated bicycles with milk containers identical to the collection of famous artist Subodh Gupta titled 3 Cows, a commentary on poverty and inequality. Sukesh Chandrasekhar, a native of Karnataka, was 17 when he was first arrested in a cheating case in 2005. Leena Maria Paul is a small-time Bollywood actor who featured in movies like Madras Cafe. The couple was arrested together for the first time in 2013 for allegedly cheating Canara Bank of 19 crore in Chennai. Since 2005, Sukesh Chandrasekhar is facing over 23 criminal cases, mostly for cheating and impersonation, including the CBI director and several government officials. In jail since 2017, Sukesh continued conning businessmen and politicians of over 200 crore rupees. On Monday, the Enforcement Directorate questioned Bollywood actor Jacqueline Fernandez. Sources say she is most likely one of the couple's victims in Bollywood. Sources also say Leena Paul has been in touch with the actor.
While the Enforcement Directorate is focusing on recovering victims' money, the Delhi police is working on building a strong case to secure conviction for the con couple. While prison is a punishment for many, for Sukesh Chandrasekhar, it's a safe place to continue cheating people and making millions. With camera person Ashwini Mehra, this is Arvind Gunasekar for NDTV.